The movie begins to a period where the British Empire's influence extended over colonial territories. During this time, young men were dispatched to far-flung lands to serve as administrators, and among them was John Truscott, an inexperienced Englishman who found himself in Sarawak. As John set foot in this new land, he was warmly received by a local man named Belancy, who was the commander of the English language. It was Belancy who took John into the presence of Henry Bullard, the district governor. Henry noted that John was notably overqualified for his position in Sarawak. However, John mentions that his late father had been stationed in Sarawak and had ambitions of introducing education to the Iban people. However, these aspirations never got completed due to his father's demise during the war. John was determined to finish his father's dream. Guided by Henry, John was shown to the residence where he would reside during his tenure in Sarawak. Furthermore, he was extended an invitation to attend a tribal gathering scheduled for the following day. But just before he could seek further clarity from Henry, the district governor left, leaving John with lingering questions about his role in the forthcoming event. John's introduction to Malacca, the head of the Longhouse, was marked by an offer of rice wine. Though hesitant initially, John accepted the gesture nicely when Belancy explained that refusing would be seen as impolite. As John turned to express his gratitude to the server, his attention was momentarily captivated by the stunning beauty of Salima. The ceremonial proceedings involved Salima and other local women performing a traditional dance, a spectacle that truly captivated John. Once the performance concluded, John was tasked with entertaining the audience. However, his recitation of an English poem fell embarrassingly flat, leading to his charging. In combination of inebriation and embarrassment, John found himself dancing with Belancy, much to the delight of the onlooking crowd. The following morning, Henry brought John up to speed on the issue of mining companies trespassing into local territories. In response, the residents of the Longhouse had taken matters into their own hands, capturing and beheading Chinese miners. The grim task of retrieving the miners' heads was assigned to John, but just as they were about to proceed with his mission, Malacca and Salima made their entrance. It was then that the revelation was made. Salima was to become John's wife and assume wifely duties. This revelation took John aback, and the custom felt foreign to him. However, both Salima and Henry shed light on the matter, clarifying that Salima was a sleeping dictionary, a local woman designated to learn the language of European officers and foster intimacy with them. Initially hesitant, John declined, suspecting that Salima was coerced into this arrangement. However, Salima disclosed her willingness, revealing her own family history of similar unions and her desire to improve her English. John ultimately agreed to let Salima teach him, although he declined her proposal for physical intimacy. This decision disappointed Henry and left Salima disheartened. That night, Salima stayed at John's residence but retired to a separate room. On a subsequent day, Lenchai played a prank on John by substituting monkey heads for the Chinese miners' heads, leading to laughter at John's expense. This display of laughter troubled Salima, causing both her and John to leave the scene. The following day, John's chef introduced a young man, mistakenly assuming that John was gay and required a sleeping dictionary. Incensed, John dismissed Salima, who responded by terminating her services and leaving the premises. On the next day, John discovered Salima taking refuge beneath his residence, and they both agreed to give their relationship another chance. An argument between John and Henry's wife brought forth the suggestion that John should consummate his relationship with Salima to avoid being perceived as impotent. As they continued their language practice, Salima inquired about John's experience with women, prompting him to admit his lack of such encounters. Their connection deepened over time, yet they continued to sleep in separate quarters. Eventually, their intimacy grew and John's mastery of the local language improved significantly. In his journey, John crossed paths with the Bullards and their daughter Cecil, who harbored aspirations of studying the Iban during an upcoming competition. Cecil's attempt to photograph Salima inadvertently caused offense. In response, John made the decision to venture upstream alongside Salima and Belancy in order to investigate the appearance of sick individuals along the riverbanks. As a show of support for John's educational initiatives, Aggie offered her assistance on the condition that John engage with Cecil. Salima's feelings of jealousy intensified, leading her to accuse John of replicating the behavior of other Englishmen, a charge that deeply affected John and prompted his temporary departure. The subsequent day, John, accompanied by his comrades, embarked on a journey to a remote Yakata tribe to probe into the mysterious ailment plaguing the locals. Upon their arrival, they discovered an escalating number of cases and faced an attempt on John's life by an outsider. Salima's swift intervention ensured John's safety. In response, John, alongside Salima and Belancy, undertook the task of tracing the attackers' whereabouts. Their pursuit led them to European miners collecting pure silver in close proximity. Upon their return to the village, they found Salima ailing and the other villagers absent. Upon the villagers' return, they pointed fingers at John as the bringer of the disease. In an effort to appease the community, John implored Salima to persuade them to share their food. However, this prompted a revelation that the tribe did not cultivate rice. This realization led John to deduce that the miners had traded poisoned rice with the tribe to facilitate mining activities. The Yakata warriors then initiated an attack, resulting in the demise of the foreign miners. In the midst of the tense situation, John expressed his love for Salima. Nonetheless, their newfound happiness was short-lived, as Salima expressed fears that unless she relinquished her connections with John, he and Balansi would be charged with murder by the English. In the middle of these events, Henry vehemently opposed the idea of John marrying Salima, disclosing his own painful experience of departing from a sleeping dictionary due to duty, despite his love for her. This fueled a fiery argument between John and Henry, with John asserting that it was duty that had led to his father's demise, merely for the sake of an old general's knighthood. The heated debate reached its climax before Aggie intervened, leading Henry away. Salima's efforts to convince her people to sanction her union with John were met with caution from Balansi, who warned her about the potential legal repercussions. Subsequently, Henry and Aggie proposed that John could either return home for a year or risk imprisonment. Undeterred, John made the decision to find Salima, only to discover her imprisoned within the longhouse. Despite his best efforts to secure her freedom, Salima chose to make a personal sacrifice and sever their romantic bond to protect him from imprisonment. As a poignant testament to their connection, Salima and John exchanged handcrafted bracelets before parting ways. A year later, John returned to England and married Cecil. On their honeymoon, Cecil candidly revealed that she was aware of John's prior involvement with the sleeping dictionary, and she welcomed his intimate expertise. Upon their return to Sarawak, they were warmly received by the inaugural class of the first Iban school. Eagerly, Cecil embraced the role of a teacher at the school, although her jealousy of Salima's connection with John began to manifest. During one evening, John crossed paths with Salima and her son Mander, who exhibited distinct English characteristics. Despite John's initial efforts to orchestrate a meeting, Salima rebuffed his advances. However, John's resourcefulness led him to discover an alternative means of connecting with their son, and Salima agreed to allow John to spend time with him. Aggie chanced upon John carving a wooden boat, assuming that this activity indicated an impending addition to the family. Aggie divulged her reasons for staying with Henry, aiming to prevent him from returning to his former love. Her stern warning to John underscored the gravity of his commitment to Cecil. Despite Aggie's warning, John continued to spend time with Salima and their son by the river, unaware that Neville had become privy to their interactions. An altercation with the lawn side left John injured, a consequence guided by the English law. Henry held John accountable for the ensuing turmoil, while Salima fervently pleaded for her husband's life. In a bold move, Salima and Famous sought refuge at the docks. In response, John composed a heartfelt farewell letter addressed to Cecil. Aggie orchestrated Neville's pursuit of John and Salima, an endeavor that culminated in Neville's untimely demise at the hands of the Yakata tribe. The tribe embraced the family as their own, prompting them to relocate to the new village. Against this backdrop, the family found solace in their fresh start and danced in an atmosphere reminiscent of paradise. As the narrative reaches its conclusion, we witness the early stages of a new life for John, Salima, and their son Mander. Their existence in the new village is marked by a profound sense of unity and acceptance, a far cry from the constraints of their previous circumstances. The family is enveloped in a sense of belonging amongst the Yakata tribe, finding a community that cherishes and embraces them. Against this backdrop, the story brings to a close the intricate tale of love, sacrifice, and cultural clash that had unfolded over the course of the film. In summary, The Sleeping Dictionary is a compelling cinematic journey that transports viewers to an era marked by British colonialism, cultural encounters, and personal trials. The protagonist, John Truscott, navigates a complex tapestry of relationships, ambitions, and responsibilities. The intricate interactions between John, Salima, and other characters offer a window into the complexities of cross-cultural dynamics and the impact of individual choices. Set against the backdrop of Sarawak's stunning landscapes, the film delves into themes of love, duty, and sacrifice, inviting audiences to contemplate the profound influence of tradition and the human capacity for transformation. With its riveting narrative and evocative portrayal of historical context, The Sleeping Dictionary stands as a thought-provoking exploration of love and identity in the face of cultural and personal challenges. Thanks for watching till the end. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this.